Community Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. ChildServ is an organization that provides programs for families and children in underserved communities, but they also focus on foster care and serving military families. Our guests are here to talk about their efforts in those areas. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
And introducing our first guest here, Jacques, Rene, Hebert. Welcome and thanks for coming here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's start off by talking about you and how you came to this organization, a bit about what you do there, please.
Well, I'm the Military and Veteran Program Manager for ChildServ, and I help facilitate our direct services to military and veteran families, and I also do community engagement to help build awareness of the experience of military and veteran families. And I came to the position through working for other social service organizations, working with at-risk children.
Okay, but you're also a former Marine yourself, right?
I am, yes.
Okay, so you bring that experience as well.
Absolutely.
Great, great. And our second guest today is Maurice Dorris. Welcome and thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I am the licensing supervisor for the foster care program, also over the Wendy's Wonderful Kids program.
Okay, and what brought you to this area of work?
Well, actually, I've been a licensing rep for approximately 15 years, and through ChildServ, I received a promotion where I was promoted to a supervisor where I oversee over 200 foster homes. We have an array of different programs with traditional, home and relative, teen mom, and our specialty program. Okay. So those are the programs that I oversee, the licensing department.
Okay, we'll definitely get into some of those details.
Yes.
But let's talk about the programs you oversee, the programs you work with. Tell me, first of all, why such a focus on military families? Why is that something that ChildServ has worked on?
Well, one thing is that it's a timely matter. We have been at war for more than 10 years. But also because our services that we already provided, we provided to those who have experienced trauma and at-risk children and families.
Okay.
So it kind of made sense that we already had these services in place that could be, you know, with the proper training and education, the practitioners could then use those services to help military and veteran families.
You said more than 10 years, so a lot of veterans serving abroad or here and coming home and dealing with different issues. How is that different from just somebody that might need some support, maybe going through some difficulty in life?
Well, there are definitely unique issues associated with military service. There's, of course, the service itself and the training in that service is very unique, which is not really experienced in many other civilian industries. There is also the long deployments and separation that families can deal with. But you know, it's not just this younger generation of military veterans. It's also the older veterans as well. Korea and Vietnam veterans that are now retiring, and you know, after years of kind of putting those issues to the side and concentrating on their work and their families, they now have this time to reflect on their service and the activities in their service, and that is actually one of the highest growing rates of suicide is with older veterans.
Okay, so these how does ChildServ step in and assist those veterans that might be going through that difficulty and thinking about taking their own lives?
Well, in ChildServ, we kind of separate the program into two aspects. We have direct services, and then we also do community engagement. So our direct services would include our counseling services, and then our affordable housing program. We also have programs that are available to military and veteran families. One, the Parent Empowerment Program, and the Home Instruction for Parents of Preschool Youngsters, which are for children with or families with young children. Our community engagement activities include 2 community action teams. The Northwest Suburban Military Families Initiative.
And that's based out of where?
That's based out of, we meet in Palatine Township, but it serves the northwest suburbs.
Okay.
And then there's the Austin Community Action, or the Austin Military Families Initiative, which serves Austin and the west side. And those teams, what they do is they put on activities and events that help build military awareness in the communities that they serve.
Okay, what types of activities and events do they hold?
Well, we have done resource fairs, but we're always trying to think how to best serve those families. What information do they really need? So, for instance, our team out in the northwest suburbs in July put on an event geared around this idea of moral injury, and really differentiating that and separating it between post-traumatic stress.
Okay.
And so we did this really successful event, and we're able to train 80 different faith leaders in moral injury and how military service can affect their military and veteran congregants.
Okay. I'm sure some of our viewers, I'm curious, what is a moral injury?
Well, there are different definitions for moral injury, but a basic kind of understanding or a basic view is that we're all kind of raised with these ideas of what to do and what not to do. And the idea of moral injury is that it occurs when our behaviors contradict our mores or our values.
Okay.
And that can be through a lot of different ways. And of course, not just the military.
Right.
But of course, in the military, you do have, that's a prevalent experience. You know, we're taught, most of us are taught from childhood, thou shalt not kill.
Right.
But of course, that is one of the central missions or the result of the mission of the military.
Right. And I guess that individual who has the moral injury has a very difficult time jibing that with his or her upbringing, and that causes the problems.
Sure, it's an emotional and behavioral contradiction.
And during these information sessions for clergy, what do you tell them, and how do you make them more aware of signs of trouble? Just give us a brief example of that, please.
Well, in the training, we did a military culture and issues 101, where we went over kind of what the military experience is all about, how the military is structured. Most people just really have a cursory understanding of what the military is and what our mission is.
Yeah, you're right. When you say most people, I think you're absolutely right.
And so it was also educating the faith leaders how their churches or their faith organizations, not just churches, I mean there were synagogues, mosques as well, but how they can understand, how understanding that military experience affects how they can help and be aware of the issues that their military and veteran congregants deal with. And that could include, you know, specific prayers for recognizing families who have children that are overseas deployed. That could include recognizing veterans on Veterans Day or those who have fallen on Memorial Day. Different things like that, where their military and veteran congregants can feel like they are recognized and understood for their military service, but that
and
they
accepted too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But so, you know, the faith leaders, I mean, so for many military and veteran families or many veterans, you know, they don't go, their first place they go when they're in trouble isn't your local community organization like ChildServ.
Right.
Many times it's their faith leader, because it's somebody who's trusted, and they have a very unique relationship with their congregation. So it's important that those folks know exactly where the resources are for those families.
Do you want to better equip these communities to serve these individuals and their families?
Yes, to let them know where to go for that information. If they have a family that needs affordable housing, where do they go for that? If they have a veteran that's struggling through college or struggling to maintain employment because of maybe some issues like PTS or post-traumatic stress that they're dealing with because of their military service, they know how to help. They know where to send them. It's really important.
So this is part of the work of those community action teams, right? On the west side?
Yes.
The direct services?
The direct services are what is provided by ChildServ directly. So those are our counseling, housing programs.
Okay, tell me about those. How does counseling work? Because often I think we think of counseling as one person having some difficulty or some questions, and they go and see a counselor or they go for therapy. How does it work through ChildServ?
Well, I think that is what,
That's one aspect
that's
of it.
one aspect of it, sure. But there's different ways that counselors have helped, or different needs that they've been able to address. Some include an exaggerated startle response for a parent. When a child comes up and maybe they don't know that they're there and touches them, sometimes an exaggerated startle response is a behavioral byproduct of trauma. Sometimes just a parent has been deployed for 6 months or a year sometimes, and they come home and their relationship with their child is definitely affected. So it's then helping rebuild that bond and helping the service member reintegrate into their own family.
Right. So through the counseling, how does that, just give me a general example of how that might work, please.
Well, so those were examples.
Right, but let's say a man or woman comes back home and they have a child, or they're having difficulty with their spouse or significant other, and they have children, and how might they go about getting counseling, and what might be some of the results of that or recommendations that come from counseling, please?
So one of the referral paths for our counseling can come, or any of our services really can come from our community partners and our VA partnerships. So because the VA has limited family services, specifically child-oriented services, many times we'll have a VA social worker from Hines or Jesse Brown give us a call and send one of their clients over, specifically because maybe they need to work on their relationship between their significant, the veteran and the significant other, or possibly, they understand that the children have been affected, and so they refer that family over to us so we can work with the whole family, or work with the children.
Okay.
Of course, it all depends on the specific needs of that family.
Okay, yeah, that's it's hard to get into very specific cases without mentioning people, and we don't want to do that. Now, you also mentioned housing. Tell me about how the affordable housing program works, please.
So, ChildServ Affordable Homes for Heroes is the name of the program, and it came about from a partnership with Neighborhood Housing Services, who acquired 3 buildings in West Humboldt Park that have been abandoned, and completely gutted and rehabbed the homes and remodeled them into 6 apartment units, affordable housing. And so ChildServ then runs the homes and provides wraparound services for the families within those homes. So those wraparound services include financial counseling, budget counseling, our mental health counseling, the ARMOR counseling program, early childhood services,
Mm-hmm.
and of course linkages to any of our community partnerships.
Well,
So
it is a wraparound program, as you're saying.
absolutely, because you know, many times it's not just one issue. It's you know, or maybe it's one issue, but it's affected a number of different
Right.
needs.
Well said, and thank you so much for sharing that. I would like to certainly get more into that, but don't want to ignore Maurice and the important work he's doing through ChildServ. So, Maurice, tell me about foster care and how you work in that area through ChildServ, please.
Well, foster care, the foster parenting program is a volunteer program where someone can call and inquire about caring for children who have been abused and neglected. Part of that process is that each individual or couple is screened by our staff via phone, and next we invited them to an orientation that we have every third Tuesday of the month. And that orientation really details exactly what that process consists of. We give history about ChildServ so they can understand the mission behind ChildServ and the vision and what purpose we serve as an agency. So we want to bring them on board. And with that, it allows us to look at the quality of people that we want these children to be in a home where they feel safe and they feel nurtured by these individuals. So as professionals, we go through a process of training them, doing extensive background checks, doing a extensive home study assessment, and we do a visit to their home to ensure that they meet the Department of Children and Family Services requirements.
Tell me about that first call, that screening call. A couple of questions. You don't have to give me all of them, obviously,
Yes.
but what are you looking for? Or
So, some of the general questions consist of why do you want to become a foster parent? Are you financially stable to meet the basic needs for your necessity, in addition to adding another household member? Also want to make sure that they have the space to ensure that the child has a bedroom, and also to make sure that the applicant has support services, because you definitely need a support services to care for children. So whether if it be a family member, a church member, or a friend, so you want to make sure that all those different resources are in place, and also that you're familiar with your community to link them to different resources like the doctor, the dentist, or recreational activities.
Right, so it's not just somebody being, I want to take in someone, a child into my home. There actually has to be, they have to meet certain conditions.
Correct. And the condition is because an individual may perhaps meet all different requirements, but can you really foster a child that's been abused and neglected? So that sometimes looks different than raising your own children.
Right.
So with that process is that allowed us to screen those individuals to prepare them for that journey when a child is placed in their home.
Okay, once they go through that screening and they come to ChildServ for the orientation,
Yes.
what happens there?
After the orientation, after they finish the 2-hour orientation, they will receive a call to schedule an appointment for the initial visit. The initial visit would ensure just a complete assessment of the home and inspection, where we do what we call as a walkthrough to make sure they have carbon monoxide, smoke detectors, and the space in their home to accommodate a child.
Okay, and once they go through that, so how long does it usually take to receive? And they're approved. ChildServ says yes, you're fine. You can take in children.
It depends. It depends. Once they complete the application, get a medical exam, we submit the information to the Department of Children and Family Services in Springfield,
Okay.
where they would do the background check, and they will give us the different codes to let us know that if we can move forward from their backgrounds. But in the interim of all of that, we're doing there's a ton of paperwork as far as documentation. We have to get copies of their driver's license and car insurance, and because foster parents are required to transport or assist in transporting children to sibling visits, parent-child visits, and doctor's appointments and other various appointments or activities perhaps, or even school. Sometimes foster parents have to, so we want to make sure that children are safe in all aspects. So those are some of the different documents that we're gathering as we're receiving information back from the department. So that's just a part of our assessment and our process. And after we gather all the information, and Department of Children and Family Services give us the go so we can move forward, then we would issue the license. But typically that would take between 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
Because a part of that process, that individual or that couple is in pre-service training, which we call as PRIDE. And after they complete PRIDE, they're eligible to attend in-service training, where they can get additional training like child trauma, working as a professional team member. Also, ChildServ offers foster parent a monthly training that I oversee as well.
So you don't, once they're approved and they have a foster child in their home, they're not alone.
No, they're not alone. This is definitely a collaborative and a teamwork process. Foster parents are part of the professional team. The professional team will consist of the licensing coordinator, the case manager, myself as a supervisor, the foster parent, and the children.
Okay.
So as a team, we assist the foster parent through that process to support and meet the needs of the child. And some of that comes through training, some of that comes through the foster parent supporting the goal, which may be return home or adoption. Okay. So it's a lot of support, and that's why they're part of the team.
It actually sounds like another wraparound set of services.
Yes, it is.
Right.
It is.
Now you also have a program where you're focusing on Spanish-speaking children and foster parents, right?
That's correct.
Tell me about that, please.
Yes, we have a program where we are recruiting foster parents that are Hispanic or bilingual per se. Don't necessarily have to be Hispanic, but pretty much bilingual. We have a separate foster care division that what they have case managers to focus on managing families who speak Spanish.
Why is that such a big need, or why has that become a focus?
Well, the focus is overall is the different type of referrals that we receive from the Department of Children and Family Services are Hispanic children. We want to ensure that we preserve their language, so perhaps we recruit foster parents in different communities that speak Spanish. We have a marketing director who assists in seeking different venues for our recruitment team to go out to recruit Hispanic families, but not just Hispanic families. We're recruiting foster parents for other programs as well, like our specialty program for children who struggle with different behavioral issues, and also we recruit foster parents for our teen parenting foster parents as well.
Okay, tell me about those specialty programs.
The specialty programs is a program where children who have been abused and neglected and who has some serious behavioral challenges, and with additional training, that foster parent is equipped and educated to meet that child emotional needs. Those emotional needs can be from the things that are neglected from the home, or the environment they were removed from.
Okay. That's one of them, but you also said teen parent?
Yes, we have a teen mom program, which we call TPSN, Teen Parenting Network. So those are teen moms who have children in their care, and they living in foster homes. And that particular foster parent serves as a foster parent, a mentor, a mother, and more so someone that can provide them with the guidance and assist them with the life skills. Typically the teen moms, once they become 21, they emancipate, so the foster parent goal is different from another child that's in foster care. that particular teen mom would assist them with different life skills, support the teen mom by babysitting and assisting them in making sure that the teen mom is meeting their child needs. So they just wear a lot of different hats. So we definitely commend those, and we definitely is a great need for a teen mom program.
Wow. Sounds like you both do great work, and we could actually go on for at least a couple of hours with each of you. Thanks so much for coming out today. We're out of time.
Thanks
Thank you for
having
having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And to your audience, thank you for joining us. Community Forum is a service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Community Forum for local issues and concerns every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.